All right, everybody. Welcome to the video here for lesson number 6 on angles at a point. So for angles at a point, we have to understand that there are a couple of different rules that we can look for. So we can look for complementary angles, we can look for supplementary angles, or we can look for angles that add up to 360 degrees. If none of those things are available, we should have vertical angles that we can say are congruent to each other. So our first big job here is to try and figure out whether or not we have angles that add up to a value like 180 or add up to a value like 360 or 90. So anytime I see a perfectly straight line, I notice that these two angles together add up to 180 degrees. So I could take 180 and subtract away the 144, and that leaves me with 36. So because 36 is what's left, I can say x is equal to 36 degrees. For number 2, I see all 4 of these angles together create a circle, meaning these are all angles at a point. Meaning if I add them all up, I should equal 360. So I have 2x plus 1x plus 35 plus 85 equals 360. And again, like I said in class, this now just becomes an algebra problem. Do you remember how to combine like terms? 2x and 1x make 3x. 35 and 85 together makes 120. Then if I want to move the term over the equal sign, I'm going to subtract it or use its opposite operation. So I have 3x equals 240. Divide by 3, and I get x equals 80. Now for this, it just says solve for x. X is an angle, so 80 degrees. I could figure out that this is 80 degrees. I could say this is 160 degrees, and that could even help me check by adding them all up and seeing that it does equal 360 again. The next question was a bit more challenging. Notice there's 2 variables for us to find. So the first angle that I want to find is y. So these 2 angles together make 90, so I know that y and 47 are complementary. So if I take 90 and subtract 47, I'm left with 43. So that means y is equal to 43 degrees. The next thing that I notice is that these 2 angles together make a straight line, meaning 47 and x are supplementary to each other. So if I do 180 minus 47, I get 143 degrees. So that means x is 143 degrees. No, 33. Would help if I added and subtracted right. Number 4's picture was just a bit confusing because of all the stuff going on. But if you take it easy, these 2 angles on the bottom make a straight line. So that means I know that 5x plus 45 plus 3x minus 25 adds up to 180. 5x and 3x combine to make 8x. 45 and negative 25 combine to make 20. Subtract 20 from both sides, and I get 8x is equal to 160. Divide both sides by 8, and I get x equals 20. Now, why does x equals 20 help me? Well, if x equals 20, I can say 5 times 20 plus 45, which gives me 145 degrees, which is this angle here. I can say 3 times 20 minus 25. Well, that's going to give me 35, which tells me this angle here. If that angle is 35 by vertical angles, notice here we have vertical angles, this angle is also 35. The other thing I know is 2 times 20 minus 5 is also 35. Not because of vertical angles, but because I plugged in 20 for x. Then if I look, and maybe I'll choose a different color here, what do you think? Maybe not. I think we'll just go back to blue. These 3 angles again add up to 180. So if I take 180 minus 35 and minus 35, I'm left with 110. So now what did I solve for? I solved for x like it asked me to, and I solved for y, which is 110. Number 5 is a ratio question. For some reason, ratios is always the thing that confuses kids. So it says the two angles are complementary to each other. So I know they add up to 180. And it says the ratio is 4 to 1 respectively. What does that mean? What does this word mean? Well, that means that the first number matches the first angle. So I can say let 4x equal angle GHI and x equal angle MNL. Remember, anytime I see a ratio, I'm going to make let statements, and I'm going to make each part of the ratio have a variable. Now, since these two angles are complementary, I can say 4x plus x equals 90, combine like terms, and divide by 5. Now, if I divide 90 by 5, I get 18, meaning this angle is 18 degrees, and that angle is 4 times 18, which is going to be 72 degrees. Hopefully this video helped, right? Nice and short. Also, if you are watching this video, remember, or as a reminder, the worksheet that we did in class is also due tomorrow. I didn't make a video for that because I actually want to see if you know what you're doing. So again, if you didn't finish that, make sure you finish it by class tomorrow. I am collecting it, so just a heads up. Good luck, and see you all tomorrow.